645 times bigger than this thing is, right? You could stack up 645 of these, and that's how big it would be. Now, that's an interesting progression from 1982 to 2010. What is going to happen if you go ahead 20 to 30 years? It's going to get logarithmically faster, right? So if you run this forward, the amount of processing power that's in there right now, which is 160 times faster, 2 years from now, it will be double that, 320 times faster than it was. So the curve is just continuing up and up and up. Why do I think about this in the context of technology and disability? Well, let's go forward one more slide. Cell phones. I think these are going to be the most important accessibility device ever. I'm holding up a smartphone right now. And these devices are incredibly powerful. This device, if I had had this, this is now actually a 2-year-old iPhone. If I'd had it 5 years ago, the CIA would have wanted to talk to me, right? Like, these devices are moving incredibly fast in what they can do. And if we think of, cell phones as sort of a main thing that everyone has now, right? My mother got a cell phone, right? She lives in northern New Hampshire. She now has a cell phone. Doesn't like using it, doesn't call me on it, but it's there. That's a sign of penetration of how far this is going. If you look at the speed with which this industry has moved, I'll give you one example. It was 2009 when Facebook made it onto the social networking sites, made it onto smartphones, right? That's like a year and a half ago. And think about how common we think of that, like, hey, I'm putting butter on my toast, right? Like, like, this is a new phenomenon, and it's gonna accelerate, right? It's really crispy. No, it's not, right? Thanks. Exactly. That's gonna move forward. The next thing that you'll see is something called near-field communication. I'll just give you one example of technologies that are coming. Money. Taking my phone and holding it near something, and money jumping from my phone over to that thing. That has been built into the new Google Nexus S. For super geeks in the room, Nexus X stands, internally they say it's the Nexus 6. Anyone? Wow, you're not super geeks. You just proved it. Blade Runner, the model, the Android was the Nexus 6. Wow. They internally Google, they said that's why they called it that. So, geek humor bombing. That is where we're headed, and more capabilities. So let's jump forward a slide. In terms of penetration, just think about this. In the United States right now, 91% of people have a cell phone. That's over 281 million cell phones in use, right? Interestingly, if you look at Nigeria, 50% of people in Nigeria have it. If you travel in rural Nigeria, I was there in 2005, you go into small towns, small places, they'll have a central point where one person has a cell phone and you can come over and use it. That was 5 years ago. Now everyone in town has a cell phone, right? They just jumped right over infrastructure to go to those devices. The penetration of those phones are primarily standard cell phones, right? Smartphones right now in the United States and globally, fewer than about 50 to 100 million of these right now. We're on track to penetrate the way other phones have to over 5 billion with a B. There are 5 billion cell phones walking around the planet right now. Now, why is that interesting? For someone with a specific learning disability like myself, I can talk to my phone and it can write things down, so I don't have to sit there and text and type. I can take pictures of things and have the phone read it back to me in certain scenarios. Those accessibility things are great potential. The flip side is a lot of these devices are very poorly designed. They haven't thought through people with disabilities and using them. Touchscreens and the blind, that was a big, tough issue for a while. It's getting better. Apple has woken up and is paying attention to it. Others in the industry are starting to take it more seriously. But that's going to be a center point of a lot of these conversations going forward. I'll finish with this. I would encourage us as we think about technology and litigation to think about engaging the manufacturers of these products in a conversation about the upsides of doing more. You can sue someone into compliance, but you can't sue them into being excited about doing something, right? And if you get them excited about doing it, it'll take off. My colleague at Microsoft might be able to reflect this statement. A lot of engineers are really bored with their jobs, right? These are head jobs. They're not generally heart jobs. If you touch them with some heart issues, they get excited about it. And the level of performance you can get out of an organization is outstanding. I'll give you one example. Google right now publishes all of their websites in 49 languages, right, globally. Every time a website goes out that's a Google-built property, it'll have 49 languages. So they've got German, they've got, you know, Urdu, they've got all these major languages in there. Today, they haven't done this yet, but they could make web accessibility one of the languages in which they're promoting it. The key thing here is that standards only move people so far. Having a standard is saying there's a rule, you have to follow it. What you need beyond that are tools, because the engineers who are building stuff are lazy. They go to build something, and if they don't have a tool that does it for them, they won't build it, right? And so we need to focus, in addition to standards, also on getting the tools in there and getting them using them so that when they check something for Urdu, they have a tool that does that for them. They don't have to worry about learning what's the nature of Urdu. There was a question?
Yeah, my husband works at Oracle
yes.
in the user experience group.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're finding, they're actually bringing in people with low vision or blind to help them with their interface design, and they're really looking at the iPad. And because of some of the innovations that Apple's put in response to the blind community,
mm-hmm.
other ways to use it. So they're moving forward, and the reason why they're doing this is not out of the goodness of their heart. God knows it's Oracle. They're doing it.
But Larry's such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's I work here. It is out of the 50, I think it's 508.
Yeah.
That's their business is driven by those government contracts,
mm-hmm.
and that's where you look into making universal accessibility.
Absolutely, and
I'll be talking about that. If we're 20 minutes into the
we will wrap it up.
But I want to make a comment.
Yeah.
Yes, standards are helpful,
mm-hmm.
but you need the tools. And from the international perspective, in my work with the International Telecommunications Union, we need tools that are in the local developer's language all around the world. So that's a major issue.
So I'll leave it there. I think the key point is engage and see. So get out there and have some conversations with folks. And I'm excited to hear more about getting an Urdu version of an accessible website.
Well, then I'm going to move on. What I would like to do is, what I did was I was asked the question, okay, Cynthia, what is the potential of technology to assist persons with disability, and what are the challenges, legal or otherwise, related to achieving that potential? So my comments briefly here are on that, based on my experience. My thoughts are that technology is only one tool that can be used to enable persons with disabilities to fully participate in society. Now, as we've seen from Ben's slideshow, today technology is advancing and evolving at a phenomenal rate, with computing power reaching new heights. The creativity and the innovation is driving this effort for new applications, products, and services is really amazing and has a significant impact on our global society. I doubt, though, that the inventors of Twitter anticipated that tweets would help victims be rescued after the Haiti earthquake. That the cell phone manufacturers expected that text message and the vibrating function would be a great mobile device for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. Or that anyone knew that the World Wide Web would evolve to change the way we all communicate, work, and play through the convergence of audio, text, and video. And it's creating wonderful possibilities, but it's also blurring, for those in the legal world, our telecommunication definitions and regulations. But it's my belief that if our policies, standards, and laws do not support our use of the technology, and I mean the use of people with disabilities with technology, then all these advances will not be able to assist us. I believe that the more our society relies on technology, whether it's social networking, the World Wide Web, access to services and information, education, government, retail, or even the e-readers and e-books, entertainment, and yes, technology used in reasonable accommodation and auxiliary aids and services. If the more our society relies on this technology, the more we need to be vigilant about ensuring the removal of attitudinal and environmental barriers. Otherwise, we will never be able to have full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others.